everyone, I'm so blessed and welcome to my channel. Today I want to talk to you about overplanting. Yes, this message is probably for you and back to me as well, okay? Do you have a tendency to let your garden get out of control? If so, this message is for you. So here's the first question. How many plants are you planning to plant this coming season? So planning is the key word here. So what's that magic number for you? Is it 1 to 5, 5 to 10, 10 to 15, 20 plus plants? What's that magic number for you? Do you know? So how much is too much? And is there such thing, in your opinion, as overplanting? So have you ever felt that rush of excitement when you're planting your garden? I mean, you start out with a few plants in mind, but before you realize it, that list of plants that you want start to grow, grow, and grow. And one day you just look up and you got more plants than you can actually manage, more plants than you have the space for, but you just keep planting, or you just keep stopping by the nursery, or you stop by the big box stores, and you just can't help yourself, and you're just telling yourself one more plant won't hurt, or you could never have too much food, or you're gonna donate, or you're gonna share, whatever the message is that you tell yourself, but you end up leaving with more plants, knowing that you don't have the space at home and you don't have the time to manage all those plants. Well, if that's you, you're not alone, honey. So one of the first signs that you're overplanting, and we all know it, we see it, is overcrowding. You see your plants are overcrowded. When plants are packed in so tightly, they're competing for sunlight, they're competing for nutrition, they're competing for water. And we, even as beginner gardeners, you know that's asking for problems. That's asking for trouble, right? When you overcrowd plants, that can stunt the growth. It can invite disease. It can even shorten, let's say, the life cycle of those plants. So I don't know if we even want to get started on the topic of maintenance, right? Because more plants mean more maintenance, more weeding, more watering, and definitely more pruning. So some of you out there might be saying, so what? Because I'm one of those gardeners that will say it is what it is, and I don't take it too seriously. But as a beginner garden, I just want you to consider some of the consequences of doing that, okay? And you don't want your garden to quickly become something that overwhelms you, turning your peace of mind into something else, okay? Now your garden has become another source of stress, the one of the things that you were probably trying to get away from. I know for me that would totally defeat the purpose, because my purpose for gardening is for enjoyment. But I do realize that it can be a little more serious for some other people, like homesteaders, or people who are trying to offset their grocery bill, or even people who are trying to make gardening or farming a business. I'm definitely not talking about those people. And that probably is more of a reason for planning. If you're in one of those particular situations, you're going to be more strategic about what you're doing. But what we are talking about is gardeners who had the intentions of doing it as a hobby or as an outlet, and for peace of mind. Those are the type of gardeners that I'm referring to this morning. So can we avoid overplanting Of course we can. Surely we can. Let's be real, some of us like a little chaos in our life, and we know when we're overplanting, but you're just gonna do it anyway because you're a little daredevil. Sometimes I do it, I just feel like doing it, so I do it. Or sometimes I do it with the intentions of coming back and kind of thinning things out at a later date, and then I just don't get around to it, and then I just say it is what it is. But please don't do that. If you have a more serious intention for gardening, okay. So tell me in the comments. I want to know: are you one of those people that know you're doing something wrong and you just do it anyway, such as overcrowding your plants? So basically, yeah, we know our limits on our space and our time, and realistically how much time we can dedicate to maintaining our garden. We already know that. So if we know that, how many of us take the time to actually do some strategic planning before we get started with the next season? I know as a container gardener, I don't sit down and try to figure out how many containers I'm gonna need for my next season. I just pretty much, to be honest with you, buy them as I need them. Do you actually sit down, if you have a raised bed, and kind of measure out your raised beds? Maybe some of you do. Do you actually sit down and measure out the plot if you do in-ground gardening? Should we do that as gardeners? Yes, if you want to be a master gardener, a professional gardener, you likely do a lot of that stuff. But realistically, most of us, we don't. However, if we did that, it would definitely keep us from overcrowding our plants and running back and forth to the store. Heck, sometimes we don't even know what we're going to plant until we actually get to the nursery or to the big box store, or we're surfing online, or we see somebody else with, the seeds and stuff that they purchased in a haul. Yeah, so be honest with yourself. If you are a planner, that's great. Some of us plan sometimes and some of us don't, and it is what it is. You guys know I was gonna say that. It is what it is. What are some other things we need to remind ourselves? So even if you're a seasoned gardener, not just a beginner gardener, you do want to be more careful when you're selecting your plants, right? And we've talked about that before, especially in the beginner's guide to container gardening. We talked a lot about being selective. When you're online searching, are you choosing plants specific? You want to be more specific to your climate. I know, let's just be honest, I like a good experiment every now and then. I like a good challenge every now and then. So I will sometimes pick something that's not really specific for my climate just to see if I can grow it. But there's consequences to that, right? And when we make these off the wall, or should I say off the internet choices, we do have to consider the spacing requirements and not just our personal preferences. I'll put it that way. So it's better to be selective than to not be selective. Personal preferences could be anything from harvesting time. Sometimes we just want a quick harvest, want that quick reward. Sometimes we want specific colors because it's just pretty. We all have our reasons for doing what we're doing. And heck, we all know it's probably better to have fewer plants that are well maintained than a garden that is overflowing and hard to manage, right? We all want a garden that's beautiful and easy to manage. We all want that, yes. Well, all I can say to you and to myself is remember that this is supposed to be enjoyable. And remember, I'm talking to gardeners who do this as a hobby, who do this as an outlet. You know, it's a way of de-stressing. I'm not talking about homesteaders or people who have this as a business. Okay, so I know with all of that's going to come some level of stress, and you have to find ways to manage your stress and manage your garden or your farm. But for those of us who are doing this as a stress freer or as an outlet or even as a hobby, yeah, remember, this is supposed to be enjoyable. So don't let the excitement of planting turn this into something that's going to stress you out or overwhelm you. If you are a beginner gardener, consider starting out small, plan wisely, and you'll have a garden that brings you rewards, and you'll be able to enjoy it, right? As long as you can keep it at a level in which you can maintain it so that you can enjoy it. So the message here today is happy gardening. Did I say that? Okay, happy gardening, guys. The message is to know your limits, and if you go beyond them, know that there are consequences with that. But if you know your limits and you kind of work within that, your garden will thrive more likely than not. Okay, guys, I got to jump off. Thank you guys for watching the video and for even clicking on the video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Take care and happy gardening.